Now, you know I love cruising, and I think cruises are a great value. However, there have been some changes both over the last year and recently, and some cutbacks. And being honest, I just don't think all of these changes are good. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now, cruises, ever since the restart, they're just changing continuously. And I think really overall, they've been doing a very good job considering the sort of hand that they've been dealt. However, now that we are more than 1 year into the cruise restart, I really took a look at some of the different changes, some of the cutbacks that we've heard about recently, some of the changes even in terms of, the vaccination and COVID policies. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And honestly, this might be a controversial opinion, but I'm not sure that all of this is really the best for the cruise passenger. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 5 things that have changed kind of recently that personally I don't think are always good, or I don't like that much. I'd love to hear from you. Some of these things are going to be small. Some of these things might be a little bit bigger. So again, let me know down in the comments below what you think. Now, before I get started, I did want to mention that if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. What are you waiting for? I'd love to have you here within the LifeWell Cruise community. Let's get started. Number 1, I'm going to start with a change that I actually think has both good and some bad. And this is the cruise line's heavy reliance on cruise line apps. Now, starting with the good, I actually think they have done a lot more good than bad. So with the cruise line app, we can do our online check-in. You can do your e-muster, probably the best thing that those cruise line apps can do. A lot of cruise lines, we can do our e-muster on the cruise line app. In some cases, you could even order food and drinks with your cruise line app. So I love that about the Ocean Medallion. And many cruise line apps allow you to message people for free on the cruise ship using that cruise line app. That is all very, very good. However, I do think for some people, using that cruise line app means that they are keeping their phone with them. Not everybody wants to cruise with their phone right next to them, and that is a little bit of a negative. So let me know, please, what you think about that one. However, I do have a little bit of a bone to pick, a little bit of a gripe, and this is about the cruise ship Wi-Fi. I think if cruise lines are having us cruise with our phone next to us all the time, and I know that the intranet, I think it's called, is free on a cruise ship, so you can use your app without having the cruise ship Wi-Fi. However, if people have their phone next to them all the time, they do want to use Wi-Fi. And it's okay that there's a cost to it. However, I really would like to see that cruise ship Wi-Fi become more accessible and more affordable. And in a lot of cases, other than one cruise line that I was on, the cruise ship Wi-Fi has been extremely expensive. And this is definitely something that I'd like to see change in the right direction for the cruise passenger. Number 2, cruise cabin service or cruise cleaning services being reduced to once a day. Now, this is not on every cruise line, so I do want to preface this, but it is happening, I think, on at least a couple of cruise lines, and Carnival in particular. Now, personally, one of the things that I loved about cruising when I first started was the fact that we had our cabin cleaned in the morning time. That was like the good cleaning. And as well, we had the turn down service at night. That was just a little bit of a luxury and maybe a little bit of a tidy up. This way, our cabin just always felt nice and clean and fresh. And it kind of felt like one of the things that differentiated a cruise ship from a hotel. And this really made the experience so much better. This is definitely not something I want to see go away from the majority of cruise lines. I definitely appreciate this. Now, I should say, I can understand that there have been times during the COVID protocols, and as well, maybe even in terms of staffing, that this needed to change for a little while. But in terms of making this a permanent change, this definitely isn't something I think is good for the cruise passenger. Number 3, less waiters and less drink servers in the buffet area and even on the Lido deck or the pool deck. And this is something, by the way, that I have seen on 3 different cruise lines since the restart. So on the cruises that I've gone on, and I've also heard this from other people. Now, I have to say, cruise lines have had staff shortages, so I really have understood that that is really not a problem. Oftentimes in the buffet, in the past, we would have a waiter that would come over to us and maybe pour us coffee or bring us some orange juice. That really hasn't happened too much since the restart. And really, because there were the staff shortages, I completely understood. However, now we are hearing from some cruise lines that they are talking about permanent cutbacks. When they talk about permanent cutbacks, if this is something that is cut back, I definitely don't think that this is good for cruise passengers. In particular, many people now have drink packages that they are paying for. And when you have a drink package and you're waiting for a waiter or hoping that you will see somebody pass by so that you can order a drink, and they are not there, I just don't think that this is something that cruise lines should do, especially when people have been paying for the drink packages, or at least on certain cruise lines when the fares have actually gone up. Number 4, cutting back on the hours of the buffet or any of the different dining venues. Now, we have heard about this recently in the news, and again, this was Carnival, so this doesn't mean this is happening across the board. However, I was on a Royal Caribbean ship and I did see that happening as well. Again, I have really no problem when it's a matter of staffing shortages. I think that things kind of did happen during this time. I think we can all understand that. However, now that cruise ships are being filled up much more and prices are going up, I think that there is an expectation from cruise passengers. Now, please let me know. I don't mean this to be a negative video at all, but I really just hope that cruise lines remain not only a good value, but also the preferred vacation that so many people love. Number 5, now this one has to do with cruise ship gratuities, and this is feedback that I'm hearing from many people. A lot of people are sort of saying cruise lines are changing the name of cruise gratuities to crew incentive, to service charges. And what some people are saying is they're feeling a sort of pressure to tip more than the tips that might have been included in some of the packages where gratuities were included, that they're feeling like they're paying the automatic gratuities or prepaying the gratuities, and they're feeling a sense of pressure to augment that with additional gratuities on the ship as well. And I don't mean that anybody should shortchange any staff at all, or I don't mean that we shouldn't give tips where we really are very appreciative of the good service, but I don't think anybody should feel obligated, and it does seem like some people are getting that kind of message. I don't know if you are feeling that. Please let me know down in the comments below. And by the way, is there anything that you think that cruise lines could do about it? Please let me know. Okay, and now for the very big change that a lot of people have some opinions about. These are the changes in the vaccination requirements as well as the COVID testing. Now, I will tell you, in my personal opinion, overall, I like the direction that the cruise lines are going. I think it's been a really, really hard time for them to navigate what is the right thing to do, what is the safest thing to do, and I think that they're kind of doing the best they can. The only thing that I have a little bit of an issue about, more because I think it could be difficult for cruise passengers, is the fact that so many cruise lines are doing different things. Some cruise lines have done away with the testing completely, but only on certain itineraries. Understandable, because if you are going to Canada, for instance, or even you have a Canadian port on your itinerary, then you have to follow that Canadian law, which is that people do need to test if they are coming in by cruise ship. And likewise, if you're going to other destinations as well. So that really makes a lot of sense, but I do worry a little bit that it is confusing for people, and I would hate for people to show up at the cruise ship and then be turned away because they didn't know what the actual requirements were, especially when it is different by cruise line and even by length of cruise, which I do think is a little bit confusing. Okay, so we packed a lot into that video. Now, before I go, I did want to mention, well, 2 things. Firstly, I know I am very lucky to cruise, and I think that you know that you are very lucky to cruise as well. So this video wasn't meant to be negative, but really is just to talk about some of the things that have been happening and maybe some of the things that might be on your mind as well. So I'd really like to hear from you down in the comments below. Now, if you did enjoy this video, then please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now, and happy cruising.